you don't have to justify yourself to anyone. And that sounds like some kind of motivational self-help thing, but it is really true. And what I mean in that context is primarily the religious context. Now, if you are what some might call a pagan, I don't really prefer that term. I see it as kind of a slur, and, you know, I think there's better words for it. But if you are a pagan, an animist, a folk practitioner, a whatever you happen to identify yourself as, and, you know, the bookmen come knocking on your door, these people who, you know, their gods are found in books, they're not found in the, you know, the world around us. They come knocking at your door, and they're gonna ask, well, why do you think this way, and why do you not think in our way? And I want to point out that unless your ancestors were maybe Middle Eastern or near Middle Eastern, or if they were Greek or Roman, I mean, if you were of French descent like I am, my ancestors really never thought of this question, because you just were the way they were. They didn't need to explain themselves. In fact, many of our ancestors did not have a word for the concept of religion, right? Because, you know, it's just, this is the way we do things. Like, what other way is there? So you don't need to justify yourself to anyone with your religious beliefs any more than if I were to come up to you and say, like, why are you speaking in the English language? I don't need to justify that to you. Like, that is my heritage. That is where, you know, the circumstances I was born into, right? And it's kind of assumed by the Christians that, you know, Christianity is the default and everyone just has to accept Christianity, and if you don't accept Christianity, well, then you have to use a Platonic framework. Now, I'll go into more of what, like, a Platonic framework is and how to negate that and why we should negate it later on, but that's just not that's just not the point of this video. The point of this video is you don't have to justify yourself. If you say, like, I follow the ways of my ancestors, you don't have to justify your ancestors. Like, it's not an apologetics class, right? So, I mean, you could say, like, following the ways of my folk, of my kin, of my people, that's, you know, kind of fundamentally the same to me as speaking the English language or speaking the French language, or, you know, wherever you happen to come from, right? So, yeah, don't justify yourself. Don't stay locked into their combat. And I've kind of watched some videos of what to say if, you know, there's you know, atheist or Christian objections to your folk practice. And honestly, the first place to start is don't justify yourself. Don't pretend like Christianity is, you know, the default and you have to, you know, kind of go against that. Say your folk is the default, because it is. You know, whenever a baby is born, their kin, their people is all they know at the beginning, and then they meet others, right? But they are raised in one way of life, one custom. So, I mean, Christianity is really the unnatural one here. They're the ones who are kind of going outside of the bounds of, like, what is the natural and what we should be doing.